fucking love
Yeah.
it. Dude, we need kazoos. Like now.
Like a show with similar
Oh, you gotta be.
Project Iron Podcast, May 25th, Saturday. It's a beautiful day. Hope everybody was able to get out and enjoy it. I know we did.
Well, I don't know about a joy, but I was out in it.
Oh,
Yeah. Good day for lawn mowing.
Yeah, it was.
Seems like everybody had the same idea.
Great day for pulling weeds.
Ugh.
garage cleaning.
Ugh.
That sounds more exciting than my day.
I was like scraping gunk off the garage floor with an old ice scraper. It was caked on so thick.
Yeah.
What gun?
Maybe not.
It's
Brutal.
just from like 3 winters. I hadn't
Oh.
cleaned it out in a long time. Dirt and mud.
Well, Lily can do it soon enough.
Yeah, put her to work. She lives there for free after all.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you want to be in frame a little bit more?
Sure. I can scoot over.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I could probably slide the camera over if you
Oh,
want.
no,
so-
I can scoot over.
Okay.
Get cozy.
Yeah, whatever works.
Snuggle.
Cute.
I haven't snuggled in a while, Kyle.
Yeah, do you like the new layout? Shrimp complained, so had to pander to the audience
It's
a little bit.
well, of course.
Yeah.
What would you be without an audience? Be four pretentious guys talking about their opinions on YouTube by themselves.
White guys. Cis,
Yeah.
White,
This white males.
Yep.
straight, white, conservative, Christian.
Mega.
I'm triggered.
How many strikes is that now?
We're done for
But
good.
Yeah, we're banned already.
We're out.
We're low on the identity politics totem pole.
Oh, loud.
Speaking of the fans,
Yes.
they've been clamoring since we got Kyle here. What happened to episode 21 and 22?
I put episode 21 up, but there's no audio.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Like, I cut it right, and I did all the right things, but we don't have freaking audio. And then the other one.
The fans demand an answer.
The lost episode.
What were those about? I can't remember.
Well, so let me pose this question to the group. Is it ma'am or not? We need a definitive answer.
I'm not going there.
Is it ma'am?
I say whatever somebody wants to be called.
The people from the ma'am community need to know. Is it ma'am or is it not?
I don't know if you can't assume in those situations. You just can't.
Try not to do this. Bruh.
Yeah. Not going there today.
Oh,
No,
let's
please.
I'm gonna save myself some trouble editing.
some post production.
Yeah.
I hate post
The
production.
fans are pissed.
Yeah, I know they are. I've been getting hate mail.
We've
all
gotta
week.
Fans
redeem
are
our-
fan.
They've got, oh, it's fans, all 36 of them.
They pay good money
That's right.
for nothing.
Are we getting any crypto sponsors
Actually, I'm going to
yet?
set up some crypto
Yeah.
accounts on our YouTube page. So if you want to donate some coinage,
I bet Swanee would. He's big in that trade.
Yeah.
He's got some crypto cash.
That'd
Are
be
we going to
dope.
talk about that today?
yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah. Do you want to hit that yet, or are we
Sure.
premature? Or
We could, I guess.
I guess a decent segue.
So,
Yeah.
as with every other YouTube video, give us the explain it like we're 5 to cryptocurrency.
I think you're supposed to start off these things with saying, like, in no way am I offering investment advice. This
What
is
is a blockchain?
informational purposes only. So what do you guys know about crypto? Just you tell me first. Like, do you have any?
Me personally,
It's-
basically zero.
It's money, isn't it? Well, I'm going to use money in air quotes for this. Is it money based on just a series of, not random letters and numbers that are created out of some algorithm?
Yeah, kind of.
So-
And it's easy to explain it if you kind of like make the parallel between what we know as currency and then what is known as crypto. And so like if you think of in the real world, there's like mining for gold, right? You go out and you get your pan and you pan for gold in the mountains or something. There's a finite supply of it, and there are miners that go do it and get paid to do it. Same thing is true with like in crypto. There are computers running really fast processors, and graphics cards is what they usually run on now. And they try to solve
Hmm.
like complex computer problems and algorithms. And you usually do this with a group of computers. And when you solve a problem, you get awarded with some amount of Bitcoin. And like I say, there's a finite supply of it. We haven't reached it yet, but someday we will, and there'll be no more Bitcoin to be able to be mined or found, just like traditional gold on the Earth.
Where do
But
these
gold is tangible.
Right.
where do these problems come from? Or, like that's what I don't understand. What?
Some kid in China
Yeah.
like, needing help with his homework or something? Or?
Yeah, I wish it was that noble, but it's really not. It's just meaningless like algorithms that are trying to be run and solved. And there is some utility to it. Like a lot of what they're doing is trying to verify transactions within the system to make sure that everything's nice and valid and stuff. But if you think about it, like the whole thing is backed by something called a blockchain, which is if you think about a like normal bank, people transact with their banking institutions and they put their trust in these institutions to some extent. They're like the authority on who gets and gives money. It's like one authority. Well, with the blockchain, it's distributed. So basically, everybody that's transacting on the system basically runs the system and contributes to it. And so there's no centralized anything. It's all distributed across whoever wants to participate, really.
So is this kind of like the new internet on Silicon Valley?
Yeah, it's big. Like it's not there yet, but I can see it coming. I think this is the next big thing, to be honest, with like in how applications are written and secured. And it's all based on one-way hashing algorithms. So it's like you feed a piece of data to a computer and it encrypts it one way and cannot be decrypted the other way. And that's how you do things like we'll have on this show, hopefully, a big long string of letters and numbers that will be our address, like our crypto address. And then if you want to give us some money, you'll just basically paste in our address to whatever program we're using to send the money to us, and that'll be ours. And then to basically unlock that money within our account, we'll have a private password basically that we use to unlock it. And it's virtually hacker proof and anonymous too. That's a big part of it too. It's anonymous. If you go to blockchain.info, I don't know if you want to pull that up. You can
Yeah,
see some cool
sure.
stuff. Blockchain.
Give me a minute.
Yeah.
How do you turn cryptocurrency into like a US dollar?
Yep, there are exchanges for that. So it's like just regular currency exchange where
Blockchain what?
dot info.
.info. So it would be no different than like converting your US dollar to a euro or something like that.
It's easy to convert cryptocurrencies within that space. Like you can convert Bitcoin to Ethereum to Dogecoin to any other coin you want within the system, but you can also translate it into like US dollars and other currencies too.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
One of when we take a look at the technology in our world and our electrical grid, and electricity makes everything run right now. If we get hit by a solar flare, are all of these rich people that have this pretend money going to be broke?
Yeah, and there have been people who, you have to keep track of your own private passwords to basically your wallets, as they call it, like your digital wallets, and they've lost their passwords and they've lost thousands and thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin. People have just thrown away hard drives that have their Bitcoin wallets on them. They're in a dumpster somewhere, on the landfill. So if you're into dumpster diving,
There you go.
but yeah, and that's a good point too. So if you're a miner trying to, solve these problems and find these coins, it uses a really intense amount of, like a high amount of electricity because there's all this computing power being thrown at these algorithms. And so then you have to weigh the calculation. Is it worth it to try to generate a Bitcoin versus what I'm spending on electricity? And that gets into a fun game you can play too. But basically, if you go to any of these websites like blockchain, I guess at forwardist.com, you can look and see who is transacting on the Bitcoin blockchain, who's sending money, who's receiving it, how much is being sent and received. All that is public information, but it's encrypted, so you can't see who's doing it. You can just see that it is being done.
Where should I go on here, Ben? Anywhere in particular? Or?
It's usually just like a summary. Scroll down a little bit. There they are. Block. Oh, go to transactions. They're right next to blocks.
Okay, right here.
Yeah. There we go. So
Jeez,
here you can see who is sending
that's kind of
money.
cool. It's like a stock exchange.
Exactly. Somebody just sent almost $1 million.
Huh.
Last week, the price of Bitcoin took a bit of a dump because somebody accidentally sold like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. They accidentally clicked a button. Is kind of what the theory is.
Wow.
I'm interested in this. I bring it up because I had some good luck last week investing. I had some Ethereum in an account that I had gotten a long time ago, and Ethereum recently just took off, so I made a fair bit of change on it, and wanted to talk about it on the podcast if people think it's
Well,
interesting.
good for you.
Yeah.
So did you convert it to
Yeah.
U.S. cash then?
Indeed. Yeah. I
Okay.
cashed out.
Nice.
I kept a little bit of it because I still think it's fun to play with and develop with, but it's on its way.
So, with like one of your computers that you use, or there goes 4 million.
Yeah.
Or like
That's insane.
even like Jim's laptop, that wouldn't generate enough to really be feasible to trade.
Not with Bitcoin, but like there's all these other coins out there. You can just do a search for cryptocurrency. You'll get tons of results. Bitcoin is the most popular, but with the kind of the up and coming ones like Dogecoin, you could maybe use a laptop like Jimmy's or one like mine or some at the schools to try and mine for some Dogecoin. Bitcoin is so dang hard these days that no one person could really expect to mine a Bitcoin. You usually have to join a pool of people.
So let me ask a question here. Say I wanted to. I've got a I've got a banging PC at home.
Yeah.
Say I want to take my PC and I want it to mine Dogecoin while I'm at work. Where do I go to get the applications or whatever I need to set it up to do that kind of
Yeah,
thing?
you literally just do a Google search for Dogecoin mining software. And there's lots of resources, tutorials available. They'll get you set up right away. They're very open source in nature. The communities are really open and willing to share this information with people. So every coin typically has its own mining software, but it is a matter of just downloading some software and installing it and running it. You're going to notice your computer is going to work a little bit harder once you start that program running. That's why it's nice to, not necessarily promoting this, but if you have access to a nice machine at your place of employment and they're not blocking this sort of technology, you can just basically mine for free, not on your own like electronic network at home.
So what's the computer actually doing? Is it just trying every possible combination of
Yep.
letters and numbers?
Yep, to try and match some of those like hashes that you're seeing pop across the screen. And it doesn't have to match the hash exactly. It has to match like a range of hashes because to match that exactly would take like longer than we have time in the universe.
Okay, so what's it mean to match the hash? Like, I know it. What's the significance of that? Is it like a privacy thing, or?
Yeah, so kind of the way hashing works is, say I have a piece of data, any piece of data, a text file. I can run that text file through a hashing algorithm, and it'll produce a string of letters and numbers like that is exactly unique to that text file. If I have another text file that has exactly that same data and run it through the same hash, it'll produce that same output. If it's even different by 1 bit, if there's a 0 that's a 1 that should be a 0 or the other way around, it'll produce a completely different hash. And so what you're trying to do is basically match those things.
Okay.
And then that's
So
just a
long
place
thing.
to store your data.
And it's unique.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is what we call like the distributed ledger. So this is like all the debits and credits, just like you'd see on your credit union account or whatever you use.
I think, or maybe we were off the air when I said it before, but you stated you made some money here this past week.
Yeah.
So I think you'll probably have to pay capital gain on that.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my account here, and I think there's a section somewhere. I'm offline for whatever reason. But there's a section somewhere in most of these exchanges where you can get tax information
Sure.
and give that to your tax person.
Well, yeah, I'd be curious because normally when you calculate your capital gains liability, you've got to know whatever the basis was in the thing when
Sure.
you started, and
Yeah.
then whatever the value was when you sold it, that's
Yep.
your gain that you've got to pay tax on. And
Usually
with
the
a thing like one of these goofy cryptocurrencies, what was the value when you got it in, or because like don't
Yep.
you accumulate it over time or
Yep.
something too? So
all the exchanges record what you bought it at and then what you sold it
Okay.
at. So that's all recorded in your
Hmm.
account. The kind of the shady thing and the scary part about some of this stuff is you have to put your faith in these exchanges
Mm-hmm.
and assume that they're not going to go down. In the earlier days of Bitcoin, before it just took off, went to the moon, as they say in the community, there was an exchange called Mt. Gox,
Mm.
and it was run by like one guy out of his garage. And it was the most popular exchange of the time, and it went bye-bye.
Well, didn't he steal it?
Maybe,
I
that-
think
that
he
could
closed everything and like
Yeah.
because he was running all the transactions and
Right.
I think he just looped them to one account and
Yeah, and I mean, that's what you put your faith in, but you hope that.
well, it's
there are
big
more
enough
checks-
now. You'd think that
Yeah.
they're
More checks and balances now. I'm working on my own cryptocurrency, by the way. It's going to be called Vincoin.
I'll invest.
Yep. It's currently under development.
Cool.
Uh,
What do you need to do to get that put together?
You basically, so all this technology is open source, meaning you can grab the code that was used to make Bitcoin and look at it and extend it and create your own. So that's basically
Mhm.
what you call that a fork in the world of this kind of thing. You fork it, you modify it, you rename it, repackage it, make changes to it, and then kind of release it, and then it's its own thing.
Cool.
Interesting thing about Bitcoin is that nobody really knows for sure who developed it. There's a guy named Satoshi Nakamoto something.
Wait, isn't that his supposed name?
Supposed name, yes, that's his pseudonym. But yeah, nobody really knows who he is.
Hmm.
He wrote a paper outlining the technology involved, and who knows where he is now?
Cool.
Interesting.
Probably on the moon.
Maybe he just finished graduating high school.
Yeah, yeah, wouldn't that be something? This is cool stuff though.
Yeah, it is.
It's like I wouldn't recommend actually taking it seriously and investing in this stuff. Like I say, mine was kind of happenstance where I had some of this coin laying around from a long time ago, and it was just kind of I happened to check on it one day and saw that it had gained quite a bit in value.
Cool.
It was pretty cool. And Ethereum's kind of neat too. Like with Bitcoin, you can really only use that crypto for buying and selling things, and that's a good point too. There more and more outlets, I guess, are accepting Bitcoin as valid form of payment.
Mhm.
Like there was a cell phone company that just came out and said we're going to accept Bitcoin for you to pay your cell bill. But anyway, with another type of this stuff like Ethereum, you can use it for other things. Like there's a social network based on Ethereum. There's like a kind of a Pokemon-esque trading game online based on Ethereum. You can do a lot more with some of these other currencies than you can with Bitcoin.
I wonder. So has the government taken a position on cryptocurrency? I would think that.
It's gonna get regulated.
Yeah,
soon.
well,
I'm sure.
exactly. I would think that they probably wouldn't like it because banks probably don't like cryptocurrency.
So
Right.
let's talk about this because this is kind of interesting. I don't think that our federal government is intelligent enough to be able to create laws and eh, regarding the regulation of cryptocurrency. I mean, take a look at when was it the Senate who interviewed
Oh,
Captain Facebook, Zuckerberg.
Yeah, they didn't have a
They
clue.
they were so in the dark. It was scary as heck thinking that okay, these people are the ones that are trying to regulate this. I'm just going to say it's a young person's game right now. It I imagine it'll be like some farmer who's always used horses trying to come up with laws for vehicles. I mean, it really doesn't compute. That's kind of the scary thing to me right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. It's like Twitter. Somebody started it's a piece of software. It's a social network. It just sounds fun and cool to participate in. And now there's all this pending legislation and regulation surrounding these social networks. It's interesting to like, from my perspective, just writing some code that sounds like it could be fun for a few people to use and just having it explode in the way some of these things have. It should be mind-boggling. It'd be overwhelming for me as a developer.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, when you get that up and running, let us know.
Yeah.
Vincoin.
I'll get you.
Give you $10 or something, and
Right.
give me some Vincoin, and
Yeah.
I'll just sit on it and tell me when to sell.
There you go. Other ones you might have heard of would be like Litecoin.
Yeah.
Those are the big three, like Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum. There's like Bitcoin Cash, Dogecoin. Dogecoin is kind of cool. It was created basically by a communist, and they created this coin with the idea of like philanthropy in mind. What do they do? They sponsored the Jamaican bobsledding team.
Oh, I
cool.
remember that.
Yeah,
Then they had a NASCAR,
and a
too.
NASCAR, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're a really cool community.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you're ever interested in more, let me know. I'll
Okay.
hook you up with some more resources if you want to get into it deeper.
Very
Yeah,
good.
sounds pretty neat.
Yeah,
I need a new Puta.
yeah, that's for sure. And they have like specialized video. It all runs off of video card hardware,
Oh, God.
so it doesn't run on the CPU at all.
Okay.
That quickly, it's not. You don't have enough power in your CPU to do this. So they've basically invented for this sole purpose like $10,000 video cards that will be
Jeez.
as effective and efficient as possible at mining this stuff.
Huh.
And those are
Because I
crazy.
know the price of video cards went through the freaking roof.
Exactly. Yep.
Through the roof.
Thanks,
Hmm.
miners.
Man,
Oh,
just
that's crazy.
Yeah,
double the cost of building a computer.
exactly.
Did you get your computer yet, Jimmy?
It's ordered. It's on
Yeah.
all my gear is on its way. Yeah.
What kind of
so
computer did you get?
It's a HP, I think, brand. It's just to step up, try to run the podcast a little bit better.
Very cool.
So that's fairly middle of the road, I think, from a spec standpoint, but it was enough for this. This is my law school
And
laptop. Yeah, and
enough for this.
I purposely
and...
got too crappy of a laptop.
World of Warcraft.
Right. That's what he's driving at. Yeah. But before I went to, I on purpose got a crappy laptop just so I wouldn't be tempted to play World
That
of
was-
Warcraft.
that
yeah.
was smart.
And
Yeah,
that's probably
good
the only
idea.
reason
But now
I
you
am a
have
member of the
time.
Iowa bar right now. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I'll probably WoW Classic is
Oh yeah,
got all of my
August.
fancy. So
Oh yeah,
WoW Classic.
yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
I'm out of the game.
it's going to be an iteration of the game that was the original iteration of the game back when everything was a lot more difficult.
Mm.
You really had to work together a lot
Mhm.
more. It wasn't just a matter
It
of
wasn't face roll. Everything
Yeah.
was face roll. Yeah.
yeah.
this
You weren't
is-
banging your head against your keyboard doing
This is WoW
Crazy
2005.
damage per second.
Yeah.
EverQuest 1.
Oh, God.
that
The
was
giant
hardcore.
Sylvan bat fur.
Bat fur.
I always will remember that creature I was trying to hunt for hours and
Yes.
hours in the basement.
Yep.
Oh,
I
God.
remember when you found it too.
Yeah. I wanted those bracers I was
Yeah.
trying to craft.
It's like newbie armor. you're trying to
Yeah.
find.
I remember when I started playing in BC, which was the second iteration of the game, and it took me forever to level up my character just because I kept creating new characters because I was getting bored with grinding levels.
Mm.
And then I rolled a DK after
Lich
the,
King.
after Lich
Yeah.
King came out, learned how to tank, and I will never forget how excited I was when we defeated the Lich King.
Oh yeah.
Now it's like, Deathwing's dead, big deal.
Yeah.
How
Well,
much
shoot.
money did I get? Dang it, I didn't get the loot.
Mm.
You can
It's
do
a while
that.
ago. Not a hardcore gamer anymore for those ladies listening.
Big thing now is Elder Scrolls Online.
Mm.
That's starting to come back a little bit.
I've heard about
Yeah,
that.
It's pretty fun. I play it for PS4. The new DLC's coming out here in a week, so that's gonna suck my life even more. And the baby.
Speaking of nerdy activities, tell the audience about D&D all day at
Oh
school.
man, yeah, that's awesome.
I'm gonna get triggered here.
Okay, so
I
it's
wanted to
really
bring it
not
up.
this. You could be triggered by other classes, but this one really is pretty justified. So there's this.
Let's hear it.
I'm triggered by a class that didn't run.
Oh, okay. So this is May term now in high
What's
school.
that premise?
Yeah.
Quick, if you.
So the seniors are done. They always get done like what, 10
The 10th.
days or so. Yeah,
Yeah.
10 days before every other kid. And we thought, well, with, not, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to um, divulge into any more curriculum without, a fourth of your student body there. So they came up with this idea of May term, where every teacher kind of specializes in a subject that they're interested in. Like, what is their
Computer science.
computer science? Well, there's not computer science this
No, there's not. There
year.
most certainly is not.
Dungeons and Dragons, for example, or children's literature, play productions, art, stuff like that. And you have 5 days with the kids, and you just kind of design projects and stuff around your topic of interest. And I paired up with another teacher, and we're doing D&D, and we'll they'll have to play in the morning, and I kind of play with them. It's freaking fun. Play in the morning, and then they take notes about their encounters and their story that they're creating, and then I'm with the actual writing teacher, and he gives this big lesson in the afternoons, and they work on creating their narrative fiction story with the elements that he lectured on in the afternoon. So it's not like we're just playing D&D all day.
That's a shame.
I know, I wish we could, but no, they actually have to write and compose a narrative that ties into their adventure that we're having now.
So that's the academic part.
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah, it's the writing
Mhm.
piece.
So is this working towards any standards or anything like that, or?
Yeah, well, it's all stuff that he teaches in composition class. So they're talking about set pieces and
Mm.
character development and theme and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
there's parts of the curriculum, but I don't think there's a specific standard that we're trying to achieve by the end of our D&D sessions. by any means.
Students shall know how to
Yeah.
hex an orc.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I never we tried to play D&D once, and we used the old edition. There's a new edition called 5e or 5th edition now that is a lot easier and simpler. And God, I want to get into it.
Are you the
It's-
dungeon master?
I'm not, no, but I think I could do it. I wanted to see it done. One of the kids is doing it. We got a bunch of kids who play at the school. And
They play
do
anyways?
I.
yeah,
And
they,
it-
I'll be
so
right back.
Yeah.
okay. Well, in defense of this, I guess I remember in high school spending like every day during challenge playing Magic the Gathering.
oh yeah, it's critical thinking.
And that was just because we did it because we were punk rock.
yeah. No, they're having a blast, and to be honest with you, I've never seen kids so eager to write about what or continue their story that they started in the actual D&D session. So
Mhm.
it's really pretty cool. I'm having a blast just because it's kind of new to me, but it's all creative thinking and coming up with your own adventure, which is it's just a blast. It's like writing a book and playing at the same time. So fun. But I want to get a D&D group started, but you guys will just laugh at me. So
You've got to be pretty creative to be a dungeon master.
yeah,
right?
you do. You have to set the well, there's guides you
Sure.
can do. And that's what we're running. We're running Curse of Strahd, which is a pre-made campaign or adventure, and it kind of tells you what to say and what decisions you can make and stuff like that, and where you should lead players and stuff. But God, we spent the first couple hours of the first day just making our character development. It takes forever because there's so many different options you can choose from, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's hella fun.
Cool.
I can see why people love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why are you triggered, Ben, or are you not triggered? Or
I had a session I thought was pretty cool that we were going to offer on basically like 5 days of computer science and game design.
Yeah.
Four kids were interested in it.
Well, here's the problem. I don't think it was part of the original list that was offered. Like, they sent out the first survey of here's what you can choose from, and I didn't see it on there the first go around, which was a month ago.
Really?
And then I think they sent out the list again for the kids who didn't sign up for the first stuff because they're late or whatever. and then I think it was on there. So I don't know, like, how long were you guys planning on doing?
Ever since we were contacted by our
Okay.
person.
Okay, yeah, then I don't know.
Somebody dropped the ball.
Somebody dropped the ball, but
Shocking.
I bet next year
Yeah.
you'll have a group.
I'm sure.
Lost
In fact-
the administrative process and the
Yeah.
bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy and red tape. And I won't have it. I demand to teach these kids Python.
In fact, I wouldn't mind teaming up with you next year
That'd be fun.
if we could
Yeah.
figure something out. I don't know Python, but
You don't need to.
I was thinking of maybe,
Nichels was even going to sit in on it.
yeah.
She's going to come and watch us.
Well, I can probably get the kids there.
Yeah.
That's more
That's
my
what
thing.
we struggle with, just getting bodies in the
Yeah.
seats.
Mhm.
Like, there's so much stuff that it seems like gets in our way. If we could just get these kids in the classrooms,
Yeah.
they'll be fine.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, that's what I'm good at.
Yeah,
so.
that's what we're not.
Kyle's a recruiter.
Yeah.
I heard that you're the coolest teacher at the high school.
Did ya?
now.
Oh.
Yeah.
From who?
Laura told me about it. You were.
Laura did.
They took a survey.
Really?
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
You're the coolest teacher. No, seriously.
No, they did not.
I bet you are though. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
He's got a leather jacket and stuff. Pops his collar.
I smoke in the boys'
Smokes
room.
in the boys' room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't have most likely to succeed.
Yeah, it's BS.
Hottest boy in the class. You can't
Did
have
they-
class clown.
Did they do that kind of stuff for us? Or
I'm trying to remember. I
Yeah,
think
they
it was
did.
kind
I
of
feel like there
light.
was something like
Yeah.
that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
biggest
best
douche.
musician.
Yeah.
I think I got that every year. Like a 10-time back-to-back.
Champion, baby.
Yep. Second grade through senior year. The biggest tool in the class.
Oh, that's funny. No, high school's a lot of fun teaching. I love it. It's great, and tennis program's off and running. Last count, we're looking at 30 kids next year, in the boys squad. So compared
That's
to
a lot.
12 when I took over.
Yeah, because considering like 16 is about the most you can
Yeah.
play ever.
Yeah.
So,
We're gonna be struggling for some court space. But
yeah.
that's all right. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's true. Well, it's a testament to your ability to coach. You know,
No.
clearly making it fun.
It's that. I'm not a good coach. I'm good with kids. So that's all I don't aspire to be a state tennis coach at all. I'd love to, but I'm not
Yeah.
that good.
Well, I don't think in a small rural town you measure your success by wins and losses, and that's
Yeah.
take a look at the participation,
Yeah, I suppose.
and that's the beauty of a small town school. Like I've got friends in Colorado that went to 1,000, 1,500
Ugh.
kids per grade.
Yeah.
So it's like the size of Drake University or something, I mean, a different person in every class every
Yeah.
day, seems like. And if you were lucky, you could pick one thing
Yeah.
and be in it because it was so competitive.
Yeah.
My friend was a runner and she was like on the bomb squad cross country her
Uh,
senior year finally because she got cut every time. before.
God.
Yeah.
those basketball teams probably like a JUCO.
Oh, yeah,
like
sure.
a D1 or a D3 or something.
Yeah, definitely.
I always
That's
got to blame the Jews.
Well, what? But seriously, what a shitty high school experience though
Yeah.
to be.
Just go to class. You can do that in
Is- yeah.
college.
So, okay, I have a question. You didn't go to school to learn how to be a tennis coach. So they get guys like, say somebody asked me to be a soccer coach for Spirit Lake or something for the Y.
Yeah.
How does a person learn how to do that stuff? Just read a book?
Well, I played in high school,
Okay.
so I mean and that's my
But
basketball.
you don't know how to
background.
coach. I mean,
Oh,
not know how, but you didn't learn how to coach.
well, you have to get a coaching endorsement, so
Oh,
you take
okay.
classes on
Okay.
that. Yeah,
Teach you the rules and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Okay.
yeah. So you take classes on like ethics of coaching
Mm.
and rules. I guess is a big part of that.
So there's some
state
anatomy,
requirements,
then,
physiology,
yeah.
concussions,
injuries, of
all
course.
that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so.
You have to tape an ankle,
Yeah.
and
That's
then-
only if you're going to work for the school, though. Like if you're going to do something for the Y or the
I'm not,
RWC
but
or
if I
something.
was.
Yeah, I mean that's just volunteer. You
Okay.
glorified babysitter,
Mhm.
essentially.
I remember learning it's like, well, little kids can overheat faster than
Yeah,
bigger kids,
The
so
sun.
if their cheeks are red, dump water on their head or something like that.
That's what's wrong with this country.
Yeah.
My day we ate salt tablets.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Are we still talking about Nerdy Kids yet?
Oh man.
I don't know.
We
Oh yeah,
good?
I think we've migrated from D&D a little bit, but
Yeah, no, so Gabe, is here for the weekend, here for a long weekend, and he we were talking last night, and he was playing, of course, Fortnite. And he's like, Dad, I'm like, yeah, there's this axe that I really, really want to buy, and I don't have enough V-Bucks. Can I buy it? I'm like, well, how much is it? Well, it's only 600 V-Bucks. And I had, plenty of V-Bucks because, Gabe and I play together. That's one of the things that we do, and he's in Rochester, and I'm here is to, spend some quality time and goof around Fortnite. I play with him and a couple of his friends from school, and it's kind of fun. I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll just transfer some, I'll buy it and gift it to you. I couldn't figure out how to do that last night. And so I said, okay, we'll figure out how to do it today. So we've been in the garden pretty much since we woke up and had our coffee. And so he just called me. And of course, when your kid calls, no matter what, it's like, what do you need? It's like, so about that Fortnite thing. I'm like, oh Christ. So I'm like, yeah, I told you that, we'd do it. And he said, well, but at 6:30 everything changes. So we have to do it right now. And I'm like, committed to him, said, yeah, I would get it for him yesterday. And so I had to walk him through purchasing some V-Bucks for himself on PayPal, using my account so he could buy an axe before it was no longer available tomorrow.
jeez.
So
I'll send him some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Buy with crypto.
so yeah, I apologize for stepping away. It was a
Oh.
Fortnite emergency.
Well,
No
it
big deal.
happens. I mean,
hey, it's important, man. You got to get the gear.
yep.
Yeah, he's
Get
a
the
good kid. He doesn't ask for much, so I try to
Yep.
do it when I
Yeah.
can.
That was, that reminded me of a story when I kind of hit rock bottom with World of Warcraft and finally had my epiphany moment. So I'd been on a bender, man, and no joke, like a couple weeks period of just 10, 12 hours a day, wowing,
that's
fast food
awesome.
bags everywhere, empty cans of Diet Coke strewn about the room, and hardly gone outside.
Yep.
And my gear score was off the charts. I was a healer, so I could just
Man,
pretty
he
much
had-
heal the whole
Which
raid.
kind of
mys-
healer?
My main was a druid, resto druid, but
I've got a resto druid right now.
yeah,
You
Yeah.
had the heaviest heels.
I
of
had
them
very
all.
heavy heels. Yeah, so my guild. We were doing ICC 25. We were on the boats, the boat raid,
Yep.
and there was a healer trinket that dropped on that was like the most
Ooh.
elite trinket in the
Yep.
whole, because it was basically a beacon, like the paladin beacon
Yeah.
spell where you could target somebody and then a percentage of your heals went to that person. We had one pug in the group. It was a
Oh,
healing.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, in my fucking guild. I'm like, hey, I'm a guildie. And they turned the trinket over this stupid
You
pug.
Still salty about
Oh
it?
my god, I'm still pissed. My blood's boiling just thinking about it.
So for those of you out of the know, when you're raiding in a game like World of Warcraft, you have guilds or a group of people that and play with regularly. And when you pug is short for pickup group, and that's when just a bunch of random people to get together and run. And so when you're pugging somebody, it's hey, we just need one more,
Come along,
whoever
yeah.
cuts the cake will take.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we had these people I've been raiding with for months. I've gotten to know a few of them like on a personal level, like friends on Facebook and stuff. And yeah, they sell me down the river. First two, ooh, here all the 99. I just like rage quit basically.
What year approximately was this?
Oh, like maybe 2010.
Yeah,
Probably, yeah. It was like peak of Wrath of the Lich King, and
Gotcha.
that started the
What happened to your computer?
decline. Well, the computer wound up in pieces and in the garbage can eventually. Yeah,
Oh,
I was kind of a rage monster back then.
He literally
Calmed down a
rage
little
quit.
bit since, but
I think age does that to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get mad like I used to.
oh, I
Yeah.
broke
Never
so
broke
much
a
shit.
computer, but
Yeah. I used to break a lot of stuff.
Those old NES controllers, those
Oh, God.
rectangular
Yeah.
boxes, those are pretty tough.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
I broke a few 64 controllers.
weak controllers, weak
Yeah.
construction.
I broke GameCube. I broke a PS2, a couple of those in college. Tony too has got a good story about that. I was playing Prince of Persia, I think, or something like
Oh,
that.
tough one.
Yeah, I'm like standing up playing in the living room, you know, one of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
situations. Yeah.
Yep.
The way Tony tells it, he's just like, I could feel the tension rising in the room, and then, you know, all of a sudden it just erupts, lightning bolts everywhere, and stuff flying across the room. And, yeah.
That's funny.
Yep. Video games.
Video games.
Yep. Kind of glad I'm out of it.
Reminds me of that that YouTube video where this brother hid a video camera in his other brother's room,
know what you're talking about.
and his mom deactivated his subscription to World of Warcraft, and he runs into his bedroom, slams the door, jumps on the bed, screams into the pillow, fights with himself, throws stuff, smacks himself in the head, takes a remote control, shoves it up his butt. Yeah, video games do strange things to kids.
Yeah.
Oh man.
This kid was like 16, 17.
Well, rage in video games is like a legit problem, though, isn't it? Because isn't that like a thing where people are on the headsets talking to each other or whatever, and they're just, you know,
More
calling
dots.
everybody.
More
Yeah.
dots.
Yeah. Well, I know what it's like in WoW when people freak out, but it's
Yeah.
true with
Well,
shooters and
it's-
stuff.
It's like taking away an addiction.
hmm
I mean, if it, like online MMOs, I'm sure those can be just as addicting as other physical substances.
Yeah.
I would think. I mean,
hmm
I've been down that rabbit hole just like
Oh,
you.
yeah.
We've had benders where we're just online for
Yeah.
10 plus hours a
Terrible.
day.
Yeah.
And then what do you have at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Go for it.
A little serotonin rush, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Ones and zeros.
Yeah.
Or is it dopamine?
Yep.
And then, but what if you're, you commit that much time to something and then it just gets taken away?
Right.
That's life.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a larger issue with the whole subscription model, I think, in general, which technology is moving to, it seems. For example, Spotify, Pandora Premium. You
Mhm.
pay Adobe software, Photoshop, Netflix. You pay $10 a month for X amount of months, spend potentially thousands of dollars on these things, and you own nothing at the end of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like it or not. I like it like for Photoshop and Dreamweaver software. Some of these software tools are nice because you can just drop $10, have it, do your project, and then quit, as opposed to spending thousands of dollars up front for it. But again, you don't really own anything.
hmm
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, Netflix and Spotify, those guys are just cash
Oh,
cows. It's
yeah.
not like their program's going to substantially change.
Well, yeah, Netflix, Spotify, Apple Music, Hulu.
Yeah, I mean,
And now, like the Apple News subscription service, the Apple TV subscription service, HBO,
yeah,
now,
HBO Now, which I
um,
just unsubbed.
Stars Now, well, yeah, now the Game of Thrones is
Yeah,
over. What's the point?
exactly.
But wonder what their fall off was. after
Yeah.
that series ended. Which are they in the red now?
Hundreds
Yeah.
of millions on it.
Was that show that good, or I've
Yes.
never
Good
seen an
question.
episode?
Yeah, season 8, meh. The last
Oh,
season,
shut up.
It was meh. I'm on that bandwagon. I won't be that guy who says, "Oh, it sucks so much. It ruined the whole thing for me." No, it didn't. It was still the best series of all time.
It is. And
Why?
I loved how it ended.
It's very well written. It's cunning. It's I mean, the characters are unstable throughout the
Hmm.
entire.
Well, in the beginning, the character who you're disgusted by the most becomes one of the most important characters in the entire. I'm not gonna give any spoilers
Mm.
for that one person who hasn't watched it.
Two
You
people
better
here.
start. Two people.
I've got series 1 through 3 if you want.
Yeah.
I meant viewers.
Yeah.
But
No, I think I'm gonna not watch just to be the one guy. That
oh,
hasn't-
don't!
True.
You're missing out on a big culture,
I heard it's like
pop culture
when
phenomenon.
you watch it, it seems like the rug is going to be pulled out from under you constantly. You're just kind of living on the edge.
Well, it's because it is
Yeah.
half of the time.
Yeah, and it's addicting. It's
Oh, I love that, and he lost his head.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Word.
You want to talk about the SAT thing? Is that
Yeah.
Kosh?
The girls want
SAT
the
sad and
grill
tight.
set up.
Okay, let me bring that up so you guys
Okay.
can talk, and I'll go help them out.
Okay.
So I actually, I'm not reading any news right now. I mean,
Good for you.
right now I get all of my news from BuzzFeed.
And Project Ion.
And Project Iron
BuzzFeed.
podcast, yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Oh,
it's the BuzzFeed rabbit hole. I want to see what these celebrities looked like 20 years ago as compared to now.
Oh
Um, So yeah, BuzzFeed and ESPN are probably the most factual news outlets, I think.
Yeah.
ESPN pretty much has to
Saying
be
that
with
tongue-in-cheek.
statistics. So.
I heard they were pulling out of politics too. Like they've been doing a lot of political things.
ESPN?
Yeah.
I haven't noticed that.
But I heard they were gonna
Yeah,
stop that.
they were. It was getting touchy.
Yeah. And their ratings are going down.
Yeah,
because of it.
it's just their anchors will say something here or there, and then they'll talk a little bit about it, and
It's kind of offhanded, maybe.
yeah,
I can see
they'll-
that in
they'll-
basketball. He was the wall. He was Trump
yeah,
wall.
and they'll pull out the
Yeah.
race stuff in basketball, especially,
Oh.
and they don't. Yeah, I haven't heard them talk a lot about that anymore.
Huh.
So, and
Yeah,
you
good.
did tank them for a while
Good.
because that's not what anybody watches ESPN
Right.
for. So,
You watch it to get away from it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
yeah.
that was the argument.
And I never understood, these on-air personalities who throw these opinions out there that alienate half of their viewership.
Yeah,
It's like,
just to be edge lords.
roughly half of the
right.
country is conservative, roughly half the country is liberal, and if you get up and spout your opinion, no matter
Yeah,
how much nobody wants to hear it.
Right.
that's another thing on Facebook. You got these white knights who post this huge long. Here's my take on abortion. And all these talking points that we've all heard a zillion
Yeah.
times, and they just, I guess, they feel completely vindicated that they've gotten a few likes. I loved your comment the other day, Kevin. I think you posted on somebody's abortion thing. You said, "Couldn't disagree more."
That was it.
And that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's like I don't think I used to do that stuff when I was 16 and 17,
Yeah.
just because it was the edgy thing to do. But
It was new.
yeah,
Facebook was new.
yeah, when
Yeah.
you get older, it's like I don't know if a lot of people care.
I was talking with the friend about this just yesterday, I think. How in my 20s, I love to play devil's advocate. It was one of my favorite
Absolutely.
hobbies, and so I do it online, and I'd make arguments for the sake of making an argument that nobody's been making, or what have you. And then later, and when you get into your 30s and you start to enter a more professional realm, and you Google yourself, it's like, fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
So there were times when I have painstakingly spent days Googling myself and looking for, okay, let's see, what forum was that on? All right, let's log in. Let's see if I can access it and delete it, and then I'll cancel my account.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done as good of a scrub as I possibly can of myself online.
We're talking about white knights on Facebook, like defending pro-choice or
Paragraphs and
whatever.
paragraphs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pro-choice.
And then Kevy's comment, couldn't disagree more.
Period. Moving on. I think that's why Twitter probably is maybe surpassing Facebook in terms of usability and popularity, because it has to be so succinct and concise.
I don't
People don't
I don't
read
have
through
many thoughts to
paragraphs.
tweet. I don't know. That's something I haven't developed. And
Yeah, and it took me a little while to get into it myself. Like I heard it explained pretty well, which is Facebook is free to interact with people you know,
Yeah.
and then Twitter is free to interact with people you don't know.
Yeah. The only thing that's keeping me on Facebook is sharing baby pictures.
Family stuff.
Yep. That's the
I
only
agree.
thing.
I've taken all my politics to Twitter.
Yeah. So what do you think about Ilham Omar?
Ilyan Omar.
Did we hit on the SAT?
No,
No, we
Oh,
haven't talked
okay.
about it.
So
we
the
went down a rabbit
SAT is doing a adversity score. They're adding a layer of adversity points.
okay,
Oh my
so
God.
back this train up. Now I want you to explain the adversity score, like I had to crawl over broken glass to get here.
I don't. Yeah, you're asking me. I don't know if I am qualified to explain the adversity score, but I think it's
I'm sure the New York Times can.
I mean,
back
in
this up.
elementary school, I walked 2 ways uphill in the snow barefoot. I mean, is that factor into the adversity score?
No,
First
it's
of all,
just
you're
your
white.
ethnicity.
Yeah.
Second of
That's
all,
right.
you're
I
a
have no
man.
opinion. I'm a white male.
Here's a line. The adversity score, which the College Board calls a measure of disadvantage, is meant to help schools diversify their student bodies without looking explicitly at race.
Okay,
that
so
was interesting.
Here's how the rating works. What information it includes and leaves out. Okay, so what factors?
What about that link? 31
Right, the
pieces of
31
info.
pieces of information. All right.
So is it fair in saying that this is a affirmative action loophole? Oh no, we don't believe in affirmative action, but let's do this instead.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it practically does boil down to affirmative action, even if they don't technically use race. They do everything but that. I don't know.
I mean,
Okay.
I will say that everybody faces adversity. Period. I know people in the trailer park whose parents are meth heads who,
Mhm.
they're the one smart kid who was able to make it out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's interesting.
So I think these bold things here. Some of the factors.
Looks like it.
Yeah.
So one of them's contextual data on the neighborhood and high school environment.
Hmm.
2 measures: neighborhood and high school environment, calculated using data drawn from a combination of publicly available sources and aggregated College Board data.
Mm.
So
blah,
the first
blah, blah. Okay.
the first concern I
here we
have.
go.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. So we were looking at things like median family income, percentage of households in poverty, blah blah blah. Percentage
know.
of housing units that are rentals.
If
Look at all these factors.
if I'm comparing my SAT score to somebody else's and they get a better score just because their family's not as wealthy as mine, that's BS.
In let's look at in the real grand scheme of things here, it sets kids up for failure. Hey,
Yeah,
this
Victim mentality.
this kid was borderline, but he came from a rough home, so let's kick him over the edge a little bit. Let's give him a 100-point boost. So this kid's now able to go to law school and flunks out in the first year because he can't hack it
Now he's
because he
saddled with debt.
didn't have exactly. And so now the kid flunks out of law school. It was only his first year, so he's only like 60,000 in, and he's going to be spending the next 30 years trying to pay that off because really the kid can only manage to work retail.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And here's a question: is this even necessary? I mean,
Yeah,
isn't
where'd
it
this come from?
Yeah.
isn't it true that it's easier in 2019 to get in college
Oh, God,
college
yeah.
than ever before? I
Yep.
mean,
And just to access information to prepare for an exam like this, you don't have to go to the library and saddle up the wagons and that kind of stuff. Just,
Law school is a bad example because that's graduate school.
but yeah, so
Can take that back a little bit.
still, I mean, the point remains. I think
It does. It
And
does.
so, but I guess maybe on the one hand, like if you're dodging bullets and on your way to a high score on the SAT, I mean, maybe that should come up, but wouldn't it reveal itself in a personal statement to the school or
Mm.
an interview process or something like that? I mean, it seems to me,
Or you just do well on your SAT.
yeah.
I mean,
So okay, I am the admissions counselor for a major school, and I have one slot left. I have 2 kids who have the same SAT score, same grades in school. They took the same AP classes, whatever. I'm looking at a kid who has had a pretty easy life, and a kid who has been working his ass off and has had to dodge bullets on the way to school. Yeah, I think that personal story is going to make me go, wow, this kid really wanted it. He really earned it. He worked his ass off for this. I'm letting him in because I want him to be in my school. The SAT thing is like you're looking at a kid based on a number and saying, okay, well, yeah, he qualifies, but it doesn't give you the full picture.
Mhm.
So it does everybody a disservice.
and I don't think have any of us here taken the SAT? I think we've all
No.
taken.
No,
the
we're
I
ACT.
did
ACTers.
ACT, yeah.
I think this is more of a
I only took it once.
coastal.
Yep. Well, and I don't know, that element of subjectivity to the admissions process, I think, is okay.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, I don't have a problem with that necessarily because a school should be able to decide who they want to admit.
Sure.
So if they take a look at a kid and say, yeah, here's his story, his or her story,
Or is year?
or Zer's story,
They.
they's.
They story.
don't make me edit.
I have to. No,
Disclaimer.
there will be no more editing.
Fair point,
it's
fair
gonna take
enough.
me a while to get through all the pronouns. How many more
There's
do
like
I have?
68 of them.
Yeah, okay. So if anybody needs a bathroom break, go ahead and take it now. I'll be running through the pronouns. But yeah,
Oh boy.
you know, I mean, take a look at the kid's background or whatever. Fine, but this point system, like you're just automatically getting points if you happen if your
Right.
neighborhood happens to have a lot of rentals in it.
Yeah, that's
That seems kind of crazy. And Adam and I were talking about this earlier, and it's like people are probably going to start gaming the system, rent a
yeah.
post office box in the hood somewhere, and
Right.
then
Mhm.
boom, I'm admitted to Stanford.
Yeah.
This
Well,
reminds me of a criticism of um, affirmative action, some of the social welfare programs that came about, where like African American women were given like extra social safety nets and benefits because they were unmarried. They were single mothers. Well, they intentionally stayed as single mothers to reap the maximum social welfare. In other words, if they got married, they would lose their
Yeah,
welfare
why
check.
wouldn't you?
So you stay in that situation. You don't make over a certain threshold of income, so you can still get free government cheese and free other things.
Mm.
Um, if I get a job, I can't get a job because if I do, I'll lose my welfare.
so
Yeah.
that you know, there are people that would criticize that, but that is a very real thing. I
Mhm.
know people
I know, yeah,
who do
I do
that and
too.
have done that, and it's disheartening because we have these programs in place for people who really
Right.
need them, and I mean you can't take them away.
Right.
You just can't do that. I mean,
They're there for a reason.
they are, and they're necessary, and that.
But
How do you? I don't even know how you would approach fixing that.
well,
Mhm.
yeah, well, it's got this adverse effect of incentivizing things that are
Laziness.
bad for society,
Right.
right?
Reparations now, reparations
Oh,
forever.
don't even say that word. I hate the word reparations. So does will this
So,
will
so
this
tell us, Kyle, how do you feel about the subject?
Not gonna do it.
Old straddling the fence, Kyle is back.
Well,
He's taking a
he's
position.
back.
well all of us have ancestors who came over on the boat, and
Mhm.
all of us yeah, fuck it, I'm not going there. I'm not going to qualify my comment. So now the SAT is this going to start to delegitimize the SAT, or is the ACT maybe going to be more of the preferred method of um, standardized testing, which I have a whole other
Yeah.
opinion about
Right.
for college admission?
Yeah, maybe now college admissions tests are going to get political. There'll be
Yeah.
the liberal and the conservative version.
Yeah.
Or you can
God.
take like Iowa Lakes. If you don't take the ACTs or the SATs, you can take our in-house equivalency for a small fee. It's like $10, I think, compared to however much you pay for these national exams.
I didn't even know you had to do that at Iowa Lake.
Yeah, you do. It doesn't prevent you from getting in. It just places you in the appropriate math
Yeah.
and English classes.
Okay.
But you have to have some scores to place you, whatever that might be.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I suppose you can't just enroll in
Right.
calculus.
I'm gonna jump in calculator.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, if you fail it,
Yeah, I
you still
guess.
get your money, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
That's all
guess.
we want.
Charge the tuition.
Money, money, money. That's something we can get into, which is student loans. And
So yeah, if it never mind. I know the answer to the question. I'm just being a shit. I was thinking, if somebody fails out of college, are you failing out of college, or is the college failing you?
does the teacher give you the grade, or do you earn that grade?
That answer came to my head as soon as I was thinking
Yeah.
through that. So
Yeah, teachers, tell us.
You earn it.
Grades are earned, not given.
they are.
You earn it.
I can see that
I'd
entirely.
be
I was just
interested in what you think of voucher schools sometime.
I
If you
don't
know
like 'em.
anything about it.
Yeah, I know about your schools.
Not even today if you don't want to. But
No, I get where they're beneficial, especially in larger inner cities, but voucher schools would absolutely crush our public schools in Northwest Iowa if we
why is
ever.
that? I don't even know really what they are. Is it a
Oh,
lottery
it-
system?
No, you get a voucher. Like you can request a voucher to attend a different, like private.
Request it from.
so let me see if I tell you, or I'm going to explain how I understand it to be, and then you can tell
Okay.
me if I'm right or wrong. So my understanding was the voucher schools, you would get a voucher that you would use to go to one school or the other, and wherever you took that voucher is where the funding for that school would go.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, so the district that like public schools get so much money per kid, and if your enrollment goes down, obviously the amount of money goes down as well. So then you got to look at what teachers are you going to cut, or where are you going to? That's what our issues
Or which
we're
arts
having right
programs are you
now.
going to cut?
Yeah, and so the thought is if you have disgruntled people, well, not even disgruntled people, but if this new and improved and new shiny thing like a voucher school comes to the area, you're going to have this mass exodus of kids to that voucher school, and then you're going to leave a red line for the public schools. Now, that's not a bad thing to have. I mean, you should have choice, I think, if you're not satisfied with your current education or whatever, but I don't know. It's
See, now,
cra-
education's not a business, though.
yeah.
We have standards. Education here is as close to well, for elementary and high schools, as close to free as it can get.
Yeah.
It's all funded by
That's
our
true.
taxes. It's
Yep.
all funded by our whatever. And I think if you're paying for your child to go to that school anyway, and if there's a problem in that school, I would think you'd have to take it up with the school instead of just cut and run to a competitor.
Which, yeah, I mean, that's what a lot of people are doing. And yeah, like you said earlier, the problem with the voucher school is you can get a voucher and then you can take those tax dollars or that funding, state funding, to that new voucher school instead of the public school.
Where do you get the vouchers from? Like, who's giving you these magical
I-
pieces of paper?
Well, I
Department
mean,
of
can is it fair to
Willy
say that
Wonka.
we can
Yeah, I
use
guess.
vouchers in air quotes because if this kid is deregistered from this school and registered at this school, that voucher follows the child?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would assume they're essentially private schools that function like public schools, or that that fund their services like a public school.
Because when you say voucher, in my head, I picture that little paper thing that
Yeah.
you'd
I
stick
want
in
to go here.
the super wash to wash your car.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stereotype and say, is it true that then, in general, conservatives would be for these things?
Yes.
And then liberals would.
Yep.
Okay.
Betsy DeVos is a voucher.
Gotcha.
But
Wait, conservatives are for vouchers, and
yes.
Yeah.
they are.
Because there's
Yep.
more choice there, theoretically.
Yep.
Right.
And
So I spent some time living in Viroqua, Wisconsin, which has a very, very, very it's like very Berkeley-esque, very liberal
Oh.
population. It's like Madison, Wisconsin satellite, and there were this is a town of 4,500 people, and there was I almost said Monsanto school, a Montessori school. There was a Montessori school. There was a Christian school. There was a public school. There was an alternative school. I mean, there were like 4 or 5 elementary schools in this town of 4,800 people. It was
Mhm.
just weird. And it was that was a culture that this very liberal community had built. So it's kind of surprises me to hear that.
yeah, I think in bigger cities, the differentiation of schooling is
Well, yeah, rich
My
people
favorite
want their
word.
kids to go to the best schools,
Right.
So
Kinda
they
how
can,
this podcast got started.
Yeah.
right. But I'm
yeah,
just
but when they
saying.
got to college.
I'm just saying in Northwest Iowa, especially in Esterville, if you have a competitor, a major competitor come to our district, like a new school, you're gonna lose. I mean, it's
So?
Well,
Well,
yeah, but I mean,
then
the-
I
the
lose
way
my
with-
funding to be a teacher.
The way the
Well,
way that
make your
funding
school
works
better.
for
I'm just being devil's advocate. Why couldn't, if a new shiny school comes to town, why shouldn't I have the right to be able to go to that school?
because
Amen,
it's
brother.
gonna bankrupt the public school because they're
So?
dancing on the red light constantly.
That's the
So-
market.
So then
but
you're,
but
So then-
public
then-
education isn't
But I-
capitalism.
But I want to send my kid wherever the best education is, and if it's not at your school,
then
if
move.
it's at this other school.
Yeah, go
I'm
to-
going to send my kid to this new school in town. I don't want to move.
Then too bad, move.
then your taxpayers
Or
are going to the
either
public
that
school.
either that or pay for the private school because
okay.
you're going to bankrupt a public, a public school that is, being funded by taxes,
Yeah.
and all of these kids are going to be forced to go to this institution that, is private or is
And,
run in a private manner, where kids have different standards, where the standards are not what our
Well, if the standards are different, that's a different story. But I'm assuming that all things being equal,
well,
if-
they would have to be different because they have their own standards, because it's not run by our educational system. It's run by this guy who thought he wanted to open up a school.
well, then is the high school diploma still a high school diploma then?
at a private
Maybe it's
school.
not an accredited one.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the
I'm
problem.
just saying you can't guarantee that. You don't know what.
And I got nothing against
always know what
private
you're paying
schools.
for.
The problem, like, yeah, you should want your kid to have the best education possible.
Not if it
And
means that your school is going to go out of business.
that's not the thing. It's
Well-
Again, I'm being double.
Zing.
So now let's back this train up just a hair.
because there's a
Um,
difference between vouchers and private schools. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
And vouchers take their money from
Yeah.
public education, and private schools is out of pocket. So
Well-
that's where my gripe is.
And we had a private Christian school in Esterville
Yeah,
for the
I was gonna
longest
bring
time for
that up.
elementary.
Yeah,
I think it was K through 8. And
I assume it's just too expensive, right? That's why they.
I don't know.
You know the history of that?
I know their enrollment was like they had 8,
Yeah.
like at the school or something. I don't know. And I'm sure you can't have one teacher for
Yeah.
8 different grades. I
Those
don't know
are
how
all-
that would work.
There's always the weird kids that went out there.
Yeah,
to that
out
school.
out yonder.
Eric.
Yeah, Brian Leak, my childhood friend. He went there for a little while.
Yeah. Well, I'd give up on these big government authoritarians over here on the
Yeah, I
couch,
know.
Kevin.
Well, if
cow.
it's public education, I want the government involved. That's about the only thing.
Well, okay, so you know what, if
Establishment, you
if all of
always know
our
what's
tax
right.
dollars that are taken out of our paycheck, taken from our real estate taxes, all that kind of stuff, if all of a sudden those are given back to me and I have those funds to pay for my child to go to school anywhere, then yeah, fuck it. I mean, if we're going to get rid of public schools, then yeah, that's one thing. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big, obviously, advocate for public schools, not just because I work there, but I care about the education that kids are getting. And public schools are supposed to in Iowa anyway, supposed to all teach the same standards, and all, in
Well,
my
I think-
case, the science standards.
And they're pretty successful with that. I mean, I
Yeah.
know a lot of incredibly successful people who come out of our public school system.
Yep, and private schools, like you said, that you can pick and choose what you want to teach. So I'm just taking Texas for example. Texas has their own standards where evolution is optional,
Debatable.
optional, and
I don't know. I'm certainly not against private schooling. I just think that I agree with you in terms of the voucher schooling.
Yeah.
Around here, I don't think it could.
So you're
I think it would
telling me
hurt. Is my thought.
if I wanted to start a new public school in Esterville,
Is it a public school or is it a private
I don't
voucher
think you
school? Public
can.
thing?
I can't.
I don't know. I don't.
I want money from government. I'm going to have the same credentials as you people do in your high ivory towers. out there. I'm going to
Yeah.
follow the same standards.
My science lab that I've been digging chemicals out
Yes.
from the 70s. Yeah,
Yeah.
my ivory tower.
I just hit it big with Bitcoin. I'm going to start my own public school in Esterville. I can't do that.
I don't know. Like,
I'm going to be your biggest competitor.
Well,
I
for
don't
a
know
small
how.
retainer,
I don't know
Kevin,
how
I
the-
will
Yeah,
the
be
government would do
happy to
that.
look into it
Yeah.
for you.
Represent us.
I don't think you could.
Hmm.
And the reason I am saying that is I think if you wanted public funding, if you wanted it to be a public school, if you wanted it to be accredited with the state of Iowa, I don't think they would do that because they would allocate certain number of schools per or a certain number of
Per amount of kids.
per amount of
Yeah.
kids.
Not enough population.
Sure.
And so
probably.
I think they would look at you and go,
I-
no.
I bet you could do that in like
Des Moines?
Spencer or you're Sioux City or something like
Des
that.
Moines, Sioux City.
Yeah.
But again, if I hit
Sioux
it big with
Falls.
Bitcoin, I had enough in my own pocket to fund this operation. I could do that as a private school.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it
And
as a
you'd
private
be fine
school.
with that, and I'd suck all your students.
Well, no, you wouldn't because they'd have to pay for unless you
Sure.
offered education
For
for
free.
Scholarships.
Okay. I mean,
So, but that's a
just
that's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
I
No public.
I
money would be
can't
going
Yeah.
to me.
argue that you can't do that.
Sure.
But
Well, my first order of business would be to change the mascot, of course.
Mhm.
I love the midget.
Oh,
I love the
dreadful.
midget.
It's
You know,
dreadful.
it is so terrible. It is endearing.
That's exactly why it's so great, right? The pejorative factor.
I don't know
You're
if you
proud of
guys.
that?
I don't know.
I
If
should
you,
tell you this story. So I got a buddy, and he's gonna remain anonymous, but he's like 6'6", real skinny. You probably all know who he is.
Oh, you're talking about Dylan, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
Steve. And I think him and his grandma were like
This is a
driving.
great story.
I remember this story.
I haven't heard it. I'm
They were-
excited.
They were driving in their Suburban to Mankato or something, or Sioux Falls, and on their back of their van or Suburban, they have this bumper
Midget
sticker.
basketball.
Yeah, it says midget basketball. It's like a sticker.
I know where this is going.
And they just hear like this roaring sound on the interstate, and up next to them is this midget or this little person on like this big, Harley. Yeah,
Well, as big as it could be.
as big as big as it could be. In this,
So
this
a moped.
just be
midget
honest.
saw the. God, you guys.
What do you mean, you guys? Got Jimmy.
Uh,
Got
You need
Jimmy.
to edit this.
And
This is
this-
not going live.
And this guy.
Our jobs are at stake.
Yeah, whatever.
Let me tell my story. And this guy, he pulls up next to him. They're going like 70. He's like giving him the finger and stuff, and he's like, "Pull over right
Oh,
now."
no.
And like
Ugh.
poor Judy, Dylan's grandma, has no idea what's going on, and they're get this lecture from this midget about how offensive
Little person.
sorry,
Uh,
how offensive the midget basketball bumper sticker or whatever is on their Jeep, and like they thought they were gonna get mauled or beat up or something.
Yeah.
Interestingly, we thought we were going to get mauled or beat up when we shared something on Facebook that ELC should change its mascot.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrong thing.
So,
I
they,
love my
they-
education here. but
we,
the
um,
mascot's got to go.
I don't know if you guys recall, back in '97 or '96, somewhere in there, we had a vote in the school
Yeah, I
system.
remember.
All the kids voted if we wanted to keep the midget mascot. Now, for those of you not from Esterville, I'll give you the history in a minute.
Our international audience.
International audience. And it was like the Esterville tornadoes, the blizzards, because the term blizzard
Yeah.
originated here. That kind of
Red
thing. And-
Storms, I think, was on the table.
Red Storm. Yep.
Yeah.
And so people voted overwhelmingly to keep midget. So where midget originated from, and this was way a long time ago.
Yeah.
Esterville had a football team that didn't suck, and they were in.
Playing Jackson, Minnesota, or something like that.
Well,
maybe, or
they were in
whatever.
they were in the playoff. They were like in
Yeah.
the state playoffs, and the announcer made a comment about how small the Esterville players look compared to everybody else. He said they look like a bunch of midgets,
Yeah.
and I don't know what they were called back then, but
Yeah.
in the midget stuck, and
Mhm.
then it was adopted by the school as kind of an enduring term, and back when the term midget was endearing, and or if it ever was, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't use that word. And so that's
Those are
and so we're
sentence
still Esterville Lincoln Central Midgets is the mascot.
Right.
You remember our mutual buddy in high school? His name was Midge. You guys
Oh,
call him
yeah.
Midge.
Yeah, whatever happened to that guy?
Brandon.
Brandon,
Countryman.
yeah.
Oh, Midge.
I don't know. What
Oh,
his
funny.
name- Anyway.
Yeah, I remember that kid. We have time for a quick video, boys.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
This
Tulsi
title of-
Gabbard.
this is a Gale video. It's
Tim
Tulsi Gabbard is a Jesuit clone.
Tim Pool's always on about her. I don't know much about her.
Look at the arrogance of the interviewers. Look
Oops, sorry.
at the arrogance of the interviewers. They know they're destroying the real Tulsi by this interview. And compare this clone
we
with
should,
the
as
real
women,
Tulsi.
deny sex until, because she said there's no other way of protecting ourselves, because a lot of women don't know until after 6 weeks that they're pregnant.
Yeah.
It got a lot of attention. I'm curious what you think about it.
Well, I think she's shining a light on this law that Georgia recently passed that, I mean, is clearly unconstitutional.
So maybe I should give you a little background on
That'd be
Gail.
great. Yeah.
Sorry. Gail is a YouTuber who takes medicine for psychosis, but she doesn't know that she takes medicine for
Where do
psychosis.
you find these people?
So,
She's got 332 views in this.
yeah,
It's like 10 times what we have.
Yeah.
I know
we
we're,
should
we're
be on
always
medication.
We're under medicated, guys.
Yeah. So, anyways, she's always got like she's convinced that Brent Spiner, the guy who played Data on Star Trek, is in love with her and stuff, and she's always got Brent Spiner videos, and Tulsi Gabbard's a Jesuit
Huh.
clone, and
Don't
she
the
has her own
Jesuits run
church.
the world? Isn't that a theory?
I don't know.
I think I've heard that.
Could be.
And violates Roe v. Wade, violates a woman's right to choose. I think it's
Oh my
important.
God.
Yeah, listen to this explanation. Tulsi's answer does not reflect the deep, genuine Tulsi that I have seen. The answer seems canned and too politically correct to be the position of Tulsi, who thinks through deeply her views. Lori is trying to alienate those with more centrist views who might vote for Tulsi.
Is Tulsi running for president or?
I think so.
Yeah,
isn't
I think she is.
Tul-
Oh.
She's a
That
Like,
people
She's.
like
I
Alyssa
don't mind her terribly. She's a liberal Democrat. but
yeah. Hawaii, I think
Yeah.
maybe.
I think so.
Milano
Oh,
and others, and others in Hollywood are speaking through their example, their actions, their business decisions in protesting that law that was passed. And Georgia's not the only state that's done this.
Isn't she on Rogan?
Doesn't her
Yeah.
upper lip
She have that was a fantastic show.
Yeah, I wanna go
I
back and
developed a
watch that.
lot
Yeah.
of appreciation for her after she did Joe Rogan, and I really listened to her, the way that she talked.
How much of the kind of standard Democrat affair does she tote? Is she like Medicare for all person?
No, I
and,
don't. I think she's a fair bit more moderate than that. But
Okay.
the fact that Tim Pool likes her gives her cred with me because I like a lot of what he says.
Mhm.
But
You know what I've been listening to a lot lately? Gavin McGinnis.
oh,
He has got a funny podcast.
Oh yeah.
get off my lawn.
Yeah, yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of good points, but
Yeah,
I mean, it's
but-
pretty extreme.
I'm surprised he's still on anything.
Yeah.
Anymore. Where do you
He's-
watch it on YouTube?
No, I
Platforming.
it's my podcast app. Yeah.
Deep platform.
Here's the real Tulsi, as you can
Ah.
see.
Oh, the real one. Yeah.
So I don't know about you guys, but I can clearly see the difference.
yeah, yeah, that picture in the upper right, I can definitely
That
tell.
little
Well, this
thumbnail.
this is a real Tulsi versus a clone.
look funny? Like she got beat up or something? Apparently, Lori McBride
She
was
had
in a
work done.
hurry making this clone. And like I said, compare the expression on her face, the shallow expression on her face, with the expression of the real Tulsi. Tulsi's answer does not reflect the deep, genuine Tulsi that I've seen.
The real Tulsi has goodness in her eyes. This clone has a mischievous, evil gleam and seems to delight in impersonating the real Tulsi. Knowing her by appearance, she is making Tulsi seem a liberal bigot.
Man, this lady is crazy.
I think we need to do a show on Jimmy's YouTube search history.
We don't want to know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. Hope you were tested and got a tetanus shot after crawling through this YouTube hole here.
Oh yeah. Gail rocks.
The answer seems
Gale.
canned and too politically correct to be Tulsi's position, who thinks through deeply her views. Lori McBride is trying to alienate those with more centrist or moderate views who might vote for Tulsi. This is not Tulsi. This is a Jesuit clone of Tulsi. And I'm going to expose that Lori McBride. She thinks she owns the world with her clones. She makes clones
Yeah.
of anybody who's famous and threatens her to make it appear like that famous person takes Lori's
Yeah,
Three
position.
others, a few others
Yeah.
as well.
This is
I
Lori on
seem to,
TMZ.
based on what I've read about you, there's a connection between
Could be,
surfing and
yeah.
This is
your feeling about the
redonkulous.
environment.
Yeah, I mean,
She's all
it's,
in on the Jesuit
With-
conspiracy theory. That's good.
Donk. Redonkulous.
Too much for you guys?
A little bit.
Oh, bummer.
Well,
A bunch of softies.
I am something. I get tired of bullshit pretty quickly.
See, I enjoy crazy people a lot.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite things.
Makes us seem
Cringe.
not so crazy.
I'm a cringe aficionado.
Yeah.
I like crazy people. Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
me laugh.
Seeing they crazy they, that kind of stuff makes me anxious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Knowing that there's people out there like that.
it just somebody's listening to these assholes.
Yeah.
Really?
332
That's what
people.
makes me anxious. 332 people listen
It's
to this
true.
asshole.
It's true.
It's true.
It's true. Amazing.
I'm starting to think you're a Jesuit clone, Adam.
I am a Jesuit clone.
The real Adam wouldn't act like this.
Yeah. Look at the upper lip. That is not Atom. It's part of the New World Order.
Amazing.
Oh man. Well, what do you think, fellas? Do you have any
Feeling
more
good?
subject matter?
Yeah.
No,
Solid
I
show.
think we've
Hit everything?
Wasn't,
did everything we intended to and more.
Tom gonna get us some intro music?
Oh,
he said
yeah,
he had
he's
it
gotta
done.
do that. Yeah. I haven't been over there for a while,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Yeah, let me know.
It's coming.
Q.
Official intro music.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
So are we still on?
No. Well, yeah, we are. I can quit here anytime.
Why? So are we going to do like an outro? Like, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Project Iron Podcast.
Couldn't disagree more.
All right.
There we go.
Later.
We need like an outro something.
Stop recording, asshole. There we go.
Oh man.
Good cast.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Ooh, don't do 37. You do yard work for your mother?
I guess food's ready. They again.